with the launch of the e-consultation and other modules. And then slowly, phase by phase one, phase two, phase three, phase four, and now this final phase in which the remaining 38 forms have been shifted to the version 3. So now all the forms are now under the version 3, and version 2 will no more be used by the companies to file the forms. So today we will be discussing the changes that have been brought in these forms, specifically the annual filing forms, because it's the annual filing time. So the form AOC4, AOC XBRL, NBFCs, MGT7. Since these forms have undergone a lot of changes pursuant to the new version that have been introduced as part of the version 3, and there are a lot of technical changes that have also been made in these forms. So we'll try to understand today how these forms work, in what manner the forms will be filed, and what are the key changes in this form. While these, I believe these forms are still in the stage of their evaluation, because lot of technical issues are there if you prepare and download and file the form. Some things are there in the notification by which the forms were amended, but those things have not found the place in the original e-form that is there in the version 3 when you download and file it. And similarly, a lot of new changes have been brought in these forms which are not there in the original or the respective sections. Like some changes have been there in the board report, which have been introduced via these forms instead of introducing them as an amendment in Rule 8 of the accounts rules or the these Section 134 related provisions. So we'll run through a brief presentation in terms of how we see that what are the changes in the system, what are the changes in the filing system, what are the changes in the form, some of the key takeaways that you can take out of the FAQs that have been issued by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. We'll discuss some of them too, which you need to consider while you are doing your filings for the annual filing this year. So I have with me Mr. Amit Gupta, renowned company secretary in practice and an IBC practitioner. He has more than 25 years of experience and previously been member of NIC of ICSI. And so he joins us today because since he is regularly doing all these things, filings and a lot of other things, so he'll share his own perspective, understanding in terms of what all changes are there. Then we have Ms. Shiva Kukreja, who's part of the team of corporate professionals. She works as a senior associate. So she works with a lot of clients on advisory filings. So she understands how these filing works. She have gone through the changes that have been there. So she'll run through in terms of the presentation, what all key changes have been there, and we'll get to know more about the new annual filing forms from the presentation. And then we'll have some discussions around the changes, some technical issues. I request the participants not to put up questions which can only be resolved by MCA by way of their help desk. Something on legal interpretation or something on the way the information needs to be collated for a particular form. If you have questions like that, we can definitely discuss. But if you are facing any technical challenge while filling the form is not working, it's not downloading, it's not the right platform to post your questions, because we would also not be in a position to answer them because these are purely technical in nature. So to begin with, we would be starting with today the launch of our latest book, the Handbook on the Procedures on Company Law. It's a known book from the House of Corporate Professionals. I think it has more than 120, 150 procedures on Companies Act, which along with their implications under the SEBI LODR regulations, PIT regulations, FEMA regulations, and acts, FEMA Act. So all these things have been considered while preparing this form. This is the latest version this year, which we would be publishing, which would be releasing shortly in the market once we launch this book today. And so I request Shivam, if you can just do the honors of launching the new edition of the book, and can also share some details about the book, while many of the participants would be aware, but if you can throw some light on the latest changes, And as I mentioned, I can see it has more than 185 procedures instead of not 120, 140. So, Shivam, if you can throw some light
Yes,
on
sir.
what are the new features in the book
Yes, sir. This
and
is
when it
uh,
will be available in the market.
yes, sir. So this book is will be available from Monday onwards, and it will be available on our website in publication portion at 20% off on MRP. And this books covers notification and amendments up to 1st August 2025. And these books covers more than 185 procedures in a infographic manner. So what is the USP of this book? Uh, at the starting of every procedure, there is a glimpses of the procedure, like what section, what chapter, what rule number, and what form, and what approval, and what is the timeline to complete that procedure part. So this is the glimpses at the starting point of every procedure. After this, there is an important provisions and prerequisites before starting any procedure. What kind of things should be kept in mind? After that, procedure will start in infographic manner with icons and with governing provisions and step by step, like board meeting and after general meeting and filing forms. Everything is covered. After completing the procedure, what all the forms have been filed during the procedure, there is a documents requirement list annexed in the procedure itself. And at the last, there is a draft resolutions, board resolution, general meeting resolutions, or committee resolution is there. And at the last, there is a timeline. How many days will take if we complete it in a fast manner or a slow manner, minimum timeline and maximum timeline. So this book will be available from Monday onwards, and anyone can purchase from our website at 20% off. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Shivam, for putting all the efforts in ensuring the latest edition of this book. I hope it will be the buyers will find it useful. We useful for them. We regularly use it, and we find it very useful for our team. Thank you so much. So now I'll invite my associate, my senior associate, Shiba Kokreja. Shiba, if you can switch on your video. Shiba,
Yes, sir.
can you switch on your video?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
You're audible, but your video is not switched on.
Video. So there is a technical issue. I'll just get it done in a while.
Please, team, please
Um,
help Shiba in getting the issue resolved.
I'll, can I start with the presentation till the time the video gets?
We can wait for a couple of minutes, Shiba.
Okay,
Um,
sir.
if you, we generally like to have the speakers video on when they speak in order to ensure there is some connection between them and the listeners.
Sure, sir.
Can you unmute yourself? Yes, now please carry on with your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. Uh, Further to the discussion we have had with the Ankit sir, and as Ankit sir already has informed that this presentation is all about transition from V2 to V3 of 38 forms that includes the annual filing forms. So this transition was the transition of forms under Companies Act was made in a phased manner, which help the stakeholders to um, adapt to the new system. Although, because it's an initial stage of implementation, there are certain challenges that the professionals are facing. So this is the presentation we are making to address those certain challenges that we have come across while filing the annual filing forms. So I request Shivam to please move on with the slides. So there are certain key features of V3 portal, why this V3 portal and why transition has been done. So for the purpose of user friendly experience and for basically support the digital governance, this system has been done. This system has come up with the web forms to strengthen the enforcement, improve ease of doing business. Mm, Shivan, can we go to this next slide? Yeah. So there has been migration of total 38 forms that includes annual filing forms, audit and cost audit forms, other forms, and some forms which pertains to 1956 Act. There are certain key features of, basically in this slide we are more focusing on annual filing forms. So there are certain key features of these new annual filing forms, like they are web based forms. There are facilities provided of filing these forms online as well as offline, and there are certain linked forms, conditional linked forms and mandatory linked forms. uh, Validations has been enhanced, and there are in certain forms attachment size has been increased. There are differences. Let us cater to the differences between V2 and V3. In V2 forms only, we could able to download the PDF forms and fill in the details and then upload the forms. In V3, the complete system is web based. Although for annual filing form facility has been provided for filling online and offline. Second major difference is pre-fill. In V2, there was a limited pre-fill data that used to be there, but now in V3, there are a lot of data is being pre-filled, which have been linked with the record of the company that was already filed with the MCA. Now, let's come move on to linked filing systems. There are five new annual filing forms that got rolled out in V3 as new electronic forms, which were not there previously in V2. These are completely new e-forms, web-based forms, like AOC1, AOC2, extract of auditor's report, standalone, consolidated, if applicable, and extract of board's report. Uh, Earlier, there was an attachment, mandatory attachment in the AOC4 forms with respect to AOC1, AOC2, board report, and CSR section. These attachments have now been removed because these have been converted into linked forms in V3 system. Now, the lot of fields were there in V2 forms with respect to CSR, related party, transaction details. Those have also been removed because these have also become the form of linked forms in V3.
So
And
what is Shiba? What is actually what do you mean by actually by linked forms?
link forms like there will be AOC4 form that will be the parent form, and under that form, if we need to choose the radio buttons with respect to whether the company has done the consolidation or not. If we have done the consolidation, then accordingly AOC one will be applicable to us about the details of the subsidiary, joint ventures, and associate. If we select the radio button that whether the company is having related party transactions, uh, then AOC2 form linked form will get enabled. And there are certain mandatory linked forms such as board report, extract of board report, that will be mandatory linked form in case of AOC4, AOC4 NBFC. And there are and also the extract of auditor report standalone will be the mandatory linked form to the parent form. And others like extract of auditor report consolidated will be the conditional linking depending on the radio button that we have selected, that whether the consolidation is done by the company or not. And similarly, like linked from, there are certain auto populations in the form AOC4, AOC4 NBFCs. In that case, the previous year figures that have been filed by the company in AOC4 will be pre-filled. And but since companies do reinstatements also in the financial statements, so there will be a column for editing. For if we edit those figures, there will be a column for remarks. In case there we need to give the remark why we are changing the figures. And both
But
AOC4,
so Shiba, so all these forms AOC1, AOC2 are now these are also in form of in the form of e forms.
yes sir,
So we
web
also need
forms.
to fill them separately, and we'll
Yes,
also attach the form the physical versions.
actually, now attachment, mandatory attachment with respect to these filings have been removed, but MC has notified that along with the financial statement, all the documents which are required to be attached with the financial statement, that includes the auditor report, board report, that will be attached with the financial statements. Separate attachments of these AOC1, AOC2 board report has been removed, but that needs to be attached along with the financial statements.
Okay, thank you.
Shim, can we move to another slide? So this is the process of how linked filing system will going to be uh, processed. Like AOC1, AOC2, these forms are required as applicable depending on the radio button selected in the AOC4 form. AOC4 CFS and NBFC CFS also will be the depends upon the radio button that we select. CSR2 also depends upon whether the company is on the company is complying with the CSR or not. Auditor, this we have already discussed in the last slide. The only difference is we please know that in case of AOC4 XBRL, only CSR2 will be the mandatory linked form. There are no other linked forms along with AOC4 XBRL. Shivam, please move to another slide. Thank you. So this we have already captured in the previous slide, that separate tab for attaching the director report got removed. However, a copy of the financial statement along with the other documents which are required to be attached with the financial statement as per Companies Act needs to be mandatorily attached in these forms: AOC4, AOC4 CFS, NBFC, NBFC CFS, and also in AOC4 XBRL. Now let's discuss on the mode of filing. Uh, there has there is dual filing options available now. Users can now file the forms via online mode and offline mode. In offline mode, users can enter basic details in the web form, then submit, save and submit that, and then will be able to then the linked form linked form linked form table would be enabled, in which we need to present what in which we need to show which linkings we are compulsory to the company. And then after saving that, we'll be able to download the Excel utilities with respect to parent form and the linked forms. Web form fields which are pre-filled are non-editable in Excel. One, because certain fields are need to be filled in the parent form and linked forms, and then only the Excel utility will be downloaded. So the fields which are already filled in the web form before downloading the Excel utility, they will be non-editable, and so we need to be careful while filling the basic information in the form before downloading the Excel utility to fill it in offline mode. All linked forms must be uploaded successfully for submission to proceed. SRN will be generated only after validation and successful submission of each form.
So Shiba, can you go on the last slide, Shivam? So in the Excel form, you've mentioned it is non-editable. So and in the PDF form, you mentioned there is a button to edit. So if we download the Excel, then we will not be able to edit the last year's figure. Then how we do it?
No, no. The only basic information that we fill in the form before downloading the Excel
Hmm.
sheet, that will be non-editable, but rest of the fields will be editable. Like basic information, company SIN, and financial year, the director details, who are required to sign the financial statement. The basic details we need to fill in before downloading the Excel utility. And that information will be non-editable, rest it will be editable.
Okay.
So this is the procedure in diagrammatic form, which we have already discussed in previous slide. That was the parent form will be filled. The basic details will be filled in parent form. We'll submit that basic details, and then the link form table will be opened, in which we need to mention which linking forms are mandatory on the company, which are applicable on the company, and which are not. Basis that information, the linking forms will be opened, and then Excel utility will be downloaded. Then it can be filled in by multiple users. As previously in V2, we used to download the PDF, and it could be at one point of time, different forms could be downloaded and filled in by multiple users. And at one point of time, it can be uploaded. Different multiple forms could be uploaded. But now, since V3 system is as such, we can we can prepare only one form at a time. But in case of annual filing form, since offline utility is available, we can download the Excel utilities. It can be prepared by multiple users, and it can be uploaded in real time now. So uh, this is a good feature that we will face. Shivam, can we move on? Thanks. There are certain important points to be kept in mind for old filings. Now, previous filings, filings that which were allowed in V2, are now allowed in V3, subject to the payment of required additional fees. And it there is a possibility that certain companies have filed AOC4 CFS, AOC4 NBFC CF, sorry, AOC4, AOC4 NBFC in V2. Now their consolidated form needs to be filed in V3. It can be filed independently also. Otherwise, if we file it for financial year 24-25 in V3, that AOC4 and AOC4 NBFC, then their consolidated form needs to be filed mandatorily in a linked form. Otherwise, it can be filed independently. Shivam, please move on to next slide. Now we can address few changes in with respect to each form that forms part of annual filing set. In AOC4, we have already discussed that there is a dual filing option, that is online web based, or offline, that is Excel based upload. There are linked forms in case of AOC4, that is extract of board report, extract of auditor report standalone, which are both are mandatory linked forms. Second one is AOC4 CFS, extract of auditor report consolidated, if consolidation is applicable. CSR2 wherever applicable, if CSR is applicable on the company, AOC1, AOC2 if applicable. So, first one is mandatory link, others are conditional linked forms. In addition to that, standalone consolidated financial results needs to be attached in AOC4 form. One prominent feature that has been introduced is now IRP and RP liquidators can also sign the forms for the companies which are under liquidation and under CIRP or under CIRP. Please move to the next slide. In AOC4 XBRL, there is only online facility available. We cannot file it offline. Only CSR2 is a mandatory linked form. Other forms are not has not been made part of this AOC4 XBRL. Now mandatory attachments are same as that required in AOC4 non-XBRL, that is standalone signed financial statements along with XBRL, and also the PDF financial statement needs to include all other documents which are required to be attached along with the financial statements. This form also includes this feature that IRP, RP liquidator, in case of company under CIRP under liquidation, can affix their signature. Please move to the next slide. Certain key changes in MGT7, MGT7A. Dual filing option is available in MGT77A as well. There are certain fields which are introduced, like a mandatory field with respect to gender-wise shareholder count, registered office external building photo as an attachment. MGT8 has now, a certificate has now been merged into MGT7. Mandatory attachments in form like list of shareholders, we have predefined Excel, has now made part of the form itself, and investor upload FO services has been discontinued now. Although the attachment size has been increased in MGT7, because it has now become part of the list of shareholders, has become part of the form itself. So now up to 300 MB, that is 15 files of up to 20 MB each can be uploaded in the form itself. Although while downloading the PDF of MGT7 for a certification and all, these shareholding list will not be visible because of the size issue, but these are already saved in the system of MCA. Although there is a mandatory field of providing gender-wise shareholder count in the form, but a gender field is optional in list of shareholders or debenture holders in a predefined Excel. Shivam, can we move on?
This is the next slide. MGT7.
We have discussed. Okay. So, in this slide, there are certain few changes that we have observed in MGT7 and 7A, that revised MGT7 can be filed if the AGM was not held within the due date. Like if the AGM is to be held on a particular date and its due date is that, but the AGM has not been held, then MGT7 needs to be filed within the prescribed time from the date on which AGM should have been held. So first filing will be the provisional filing, and once the AGM is held, then the revised filing only for that financial year can be done in MGT7. Next is now system allows to add or retain classes of shares that were valid as on financial year end date. Like there can be a scenario where a class of shares have been increased after the end of financial year, or they have been reduced after the end of the financial year. But since the data in MGT7 is captured as on the end date of the financial year, we can add or retain the classes of shares in that form. Mandatory disclosures of designated person, earlier it was last year it became mandatory to disclose the details of the person designated to furnish the information about beneficial interest in the shares, but there was no field prescribed in MGD7. It has to be informed in annual return, but there was no field defined. And companies used to file this detail in the form of attachment to MGD7. Now this has been embedded in the form itself. um, Next is like this is the
Shiba,
same.
Shiba,
Yes,
on
sir.
this revision in the form MGT7, can you put some more light? It says that it can be filed if AGM was not held within the due date.
Yeah, since it is a requirement in the Companies Act that the form needs to be filed even if AGM is not held on which on the date on which it should have been held. So first we'll file the provisional MGD7 with the option that the AGM is not held. Once the AGM is held, the reason could be any for not holding the AGM. Once the AGM is held, then again the MGT final MGT 7 needs to be filed with selecting the ready button that it is the revised filing. But the revised filing can be done only for that financial year.
So
It cannot
otherwise,
be.
earlier we were able to file MGT7 irrespective of what was the reason. For
Hmm.
example, if 2023 I filed in 2024, or even in 2023 itself, and today I want to file it, if considering if version 3 was not there, I was able to file it. So, but now it means that you cannot file a revise. This is not actually a revision in actual sense, the kind of revision that people generally do while filing the revised MGT7. So, in a way, you cannot file revised MGT7.
Yes, sir. As per the NCA latest FAQs, also it was clarified that this can be done only for that financial year.
Okay. Amitji, any view on this? Amitji, you are there? I don't think he's yet there. Okay, Shiva, you can continue. We'll discuss with him once he joins.
Okay, sir. Shivam, can we move on to next slide? Thank you. Um, Now there are certain. Let's discuss about the changes in the other linked forms like extract of board report. It has come up as a new web form. Now there are certain mandate. It is a mandatory linked form in AOC4 and AOC4 NBFC, that is non-XBRL, and the mode of filing can be online or offline. There are certain additional items and informations which have been introduced in the extract of board report e-form, uh, which which are as follows. Like in case of the board meeting, total number of directors as on the date of the meeting, number of directors attended those meetings. Similarly, for committee meeting, type of committees, total number of members as on the date of the meeting, and number of directors attended, and number of employees as on the closure financial year. These have been introduced in the extract of board report e-form. Although, if we see the format of the board report that we are preparing and finalizing as a part of the annual report, these are not mentioned under Section 134 or other provisions of the Companies Act to include these details in the board report. But now, since they have come under these under this web form, so there is a question whether these should be formed part of the board report also or not. Can we move on to the next slide? Yeah, so these are further additional details that have formed part of the extract of board report web form. Like in case the company is having transactions related to loan guarantee, investment or security as per section 186, then company needs to fill in these details with respect to each transaction. Uh, and other disclosures relating to deposits, like earlier only the amount of default in the repayment of deposit was to be required to be disclosed in the board report. Now the web form also includes number of cases of default in repayment of deposit at the beginning, during the year, and at the end of the year. These are certain CSR details which were notified as part of the web form extract of board report. Although while we fill in the web form extract of board report, these are not part of the form, as these become part of this form CSR2. So, as we've discussed the changes in annual filing forms, there are certain issues and queries and challenges that we are facing. Like already discussed, there are additional items which are not
Tiba,
specified in.
we'll take these issues and queries. I think once Amit joins.
Sure,
Uh,
sir.
anything in respect of the FAQs that MCA have released uh, that is being covered, or is there anything left in your presentation?
No, so the only left portion is the transition changes.
Okay, you can cover that. Then we'll come back to the queries.
Okay, so in this, the pending V2 forms have been transitioned to V3. Now again, those forms needs to be resubmitted in V3, and refund forms are only available in V3. Earlier, what used to happen is, in any of the e-forms we could change the email ID of the company, and those get updated on the company master data on MCA. But now it can be done only through profile update by login on to the business user registration of the company, and not through any of these forms, including the annual filing forms. This is the major change. Like, company used to just change the email ID in the e-forms. Now it cannot be done. Uh, Previous year filings allowed in V3 with applicable. Now it can be allowed. Previous year filings can be allowed in V3, but now additional fees needs to be given for those filings. There is no change in the XBRL taxonomy, only for the financial year 2024-25, which has been updated by the MC as of now. Uh, we are not sure of the future years. Maybe the taxonomy will change.
So, anything
So,
update on the how? Is there any change in the manner in which the authorized capital and the paid up capital gets updated through the annual return form? Is there any change in those aspects?
so MC has clarified this in their FAQs that authorized capital will not be able to be changed through filing of MGT7. It can be changed only through FH7. Also, only
But
the
what happens
paper.
in case of buyback? Because previously, in case of buyback, since there is no requirement to file SH7 and the forms are not updated by the return of buyback that we file, it only used to get updated from the annual return that we file at the after the AGM or so. But then, how will the authorized capital and the paid up capital will get update in the case of a buyback?
Sir, only the scenario mentioned in FAQ was with respect to the increase in authorized capital, and not how the increase has been done. Like, so it's only mentioned that it cannot be done through MGD7, it has to be done through SH7 only.
So not also it's about authorized capital or also the paid up capital.
Uh, Different FAQs says about both the capital separately. So one says that authorized cannot be changed through MGD7. The other also specify that the paid up can be changed through MGD7 basis
Hmm.
the closing year figures.
Okay. Okay. Any with respect to the filing, I believe now in case of a non-XBRL form, do we need to fill all the entire board report needs to be filled in their respective columns in the Excel or in the form?
Yes, in case of non-XBRL, in the extract of the board report, we need to fill in all the data that is part of the board report. We need to fill in every field in the data, because certain headings have been defined in the form, but For others, it's there is a option for other matters. So therein we need to include the rest remaining matters.
Okay. Amit ji have also joined. Welcome, Amit ji. You are on mute.
Thank
So
you. Sorry
one
about.
fundamental question that we were supposed to discuss earlier, since you were not there, is about the changes that have been brought in the board extract form, which introduces certain additional changes which are not provided under section 34 or route 8 read with the section 134. So how to deal with those changes? And another important thing is that these changes are only in the board extract, which is not applicable in case of an XBRL form. So I don't think we would be following one set of disclosures for board extract and other set of board disclosures for the XBRL. So what are your views on the board extract first?
So I have 2 points to mention. If I'm audible now,
Yes, you
Ankit?
are.
Hmm. So there are two ways to look at it. The last point that you mentioned with regard to the difference between the presentation in the XBRL and the non-XBRL version with regard to the board report, the additional data. The idea that ministry is working upon is to align both of these data. As you know, XBRL was already, as far as the taxonomy is concerned, that taxonomy was already working. They have done only revision with regard to the latest version. On certain fields, certain parameters have been added. Other than that, the whole lot of taxonomy has not undergone a change, right? It is due, it is rather overdue for change. Not only these changes, but even under the old law also there were certain parameters which are supposed to be tested. They are not being tested in the XBRL. So that's a different matter. I think ministry is working on the same. That's a little longer project, and ministry will come out with the alignment of non-XBRL version with the XBRL version. Let us come to the point as to how to deal with the disclosures which are additional to the board report. That is what section 134 essentially talks about. Nowhere that figure is there, but now suddenly when you come to filling the form AOC4 in board report section, you are asked those information. I think means since the last decade 2014 to 2024, right, everyone has experienced, ministry has time and again been asking certain information in certain fields, which is nowhere statutorily captured in the respective rule or regulation, right? And maybe you can say because forms are also notified, if you see the fields of the form, so we cannot say that these are completely illegal, right? Because forms are notified by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So maybe there are certain fields which they consider necessary for the sanity check or for the data purpose. So they are trying to capture those information also, which perhaps ideally should have been a part of respective rule as well. If we talk as a student of law, we always will agree ki it should be part of law first, then it should be part of the form that is being asked to be filed, right? But I think we have no option because in those cases, as far as the current year is concerned, where your board report is, I think, in transition, say, maybe I am filing previous year data, let's say 2024 returns I am filing, or I am filing in respect of annual filing, where the board of directors have approved the board report prior to the D date when the change happened in July 2025. And maybe we can take an excuse, and wherever it is not available, we can put the not applicable figure. Now that, and with a clarification, I think this should work. As far as subsequent year data will be concerned, I think you have no option. If these mandatory fields are being asked to be filled by, then these fields are to be filled. I don't think anyone will have the option to not fill. And if you fill not applicable or not available, even to me, that disclosure will be incorrect, right?
No,
Whether
so
you
you
like.
you mean to say that general understanding is that since the rule have been notified
Hmm,
in July 25 on July 25,
hmm.
so if the board report has been approved before that date,
Correct.
then the board report will continue to be as per that old disclosures. But if it is being approved on or after 25, it needs to carry the current disclosures. That it's fair.
100%.
Generally,
100%.
I believe what needs to one needs to do, if, for example, the board report approved before 25th July, for some reasons it requires some additions or modification, and it goes again to the board for its approval,
Then you
then
require.
you also need to consider all the
Correct.
fresh changes that have been introduced.
Correct. No option in that case. You very
Okay.
rightly captured.
Okay. Then, Shiva, if you can put the presentation back and go to the additional content that have been added.
Sure, sir.
Yeah.
Shivam?
Yeah. Shiva, next. और आगे? नहीं, बोर्ड रिपोर्ट वाला पीछे
Previous.
पीछे 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 और हाँ, इसके आगे और आगे। अब एक क्या, सो जैसे अब फॉर एग्जांपल दिस स्टेटमेंट इज विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द डिटेल्स ऑफ द लोन इन्वेस्टमेंट। अब
Correct.
there are also assumptions in terms of loans to wholly owned subsidiary joint ventures will not be covered under this disclosure, but I believe the exemption under the Companies Act is with respect to the limits,
Correct.
not with respect
100%.
to disclosure. So if you are also giving loan to the exempted entities like wholly owned subsidiary or your joint ventures, you are still need to give the details of all these disclosures. And important thing is it is also asking for an SRN of MDT 14. So, but in case, Amiji, I believe where we have filed a general resolution authorizing the any committee or any directors to borrow on behalf to invest or lend on behalf of the company, then we can give the SRN of that form in all the lendings that we have done or investments that we have
What
made.
what we have experimented and
Hmm.
what we have understood, this provision essentially is from the disclosure of intercorporate loans investment under Section 186. And you will agree, you are preparing also and you are making a review of industry practice also. Many of the companies have been skipping this particular data
Hmm.
as far as disclosure is concerned. The standard disclosure that comes in the board report for this section is that you kindly refer note number so and so of the
Yes.
financial statement and chapter ends. And me and you will agree that that does not statutorily meet the requirement of disclosure under 186, because it asks you to give certain more details which is not captured in the notes to the accounts to the financial statement. So that is where I think ministry is now sensitized that this is one very important data, and 186 is a non-compoundable offense. So the ministry sensitivity towards this particular data information, I think, is quite more. So they have added quite lot field, and they have added even the SRN detail also. What we understand as far as the SRN point is concerned, I don't think there should be any limitation or there should be a mandatory requirement that in all situation you have to fill this information, right? There could be certain cases where this data may not be there, as you rightly
I
mentioned,
think, sir,
for
this is applicable more in case where you are passing a special resolution because the column
correct,
is, yes. Another,
correct,
sir, important thing is 186 also talks about in terms of the disclosure, the purpose of loan.
correct.
That is not captured here.
I think you have given the idea to them by discussing this in this platform, and a lot of people watch. And it after this program also it goes in the social media. So I think regulators are still evolving. I think it's not
Hmm.
final, right? Lot of changes are undergoing, and they have created what we understand in the limited interaction with the ministry people. They are saying कि a base work, homework has been done, and lot of first cut provisions have been introduced, right? So far, our understanding with interface with the V3, with the transition to this new 38 form, I think by far it is quite well in comparison to the previous experience of the transition, right? It is not that bad because we were struggling with the login issue, registration issue. So those issues are at least settled. by and large, people are settled with most of the normal version 3 issues. Only, yes, there are challenges. When we'll come to discuss on those challenges as well, we'll discuss. But I think you are right. I think ministry will add those numbers also and many more field. I think the idea what ministry is having, because they have artificial intelligence in place, they want to capture each and every field which is there from the respective law, so that artificial intelligence can be given a command and the auto checking whether the company has done a compliance or not can be verified. I think that is the idea. Sooner or later, that is going to happen.
Okay. Shivam, can we go on the CSR slide? So in case of CSR, if you see the last point, it talks about a responsibility statement. So the initial CSR annexure to the CSR rules was having this annexure where you need to give this statement as part of the report.
Correct.
But when the new disclosure was introduced, this statement was removed. And now this statement again finds its place as part of the changes in the form. Another important thing which is mentioned as a note, that while these changes forms part of the notification, the form or the Excel utility doesn't have the disclosure.
Ankit, I'll say these are only
No, so
transitionary
my
issue.
question is, so this is also something that we need, which is still not there in the CSR annual report, but since it is there in the notified version of the form, we need to cover that as part of our CSR annual report in the board report that we annex.
I think specific flagging has been made to the ministry, and as you know, uh, ministry e-governance cell will first of all legal cell will look into, then it will go to e-governance cell, then it will be dialogue with the L&T team, and then the change will happen,
Hmm.
right? So this issue also has been flagged to the ministry people. Their legal team is vetting the same, and then they will take it up with the L&T team as to what correction is required. But I think alignment will take some time. I think it will take another year's time to align completely with the, but at least the modality has been live and we are able to file the form. That is the silver lining. The process has not been disrupted.
Shivam, can you go to the changes in MGT 7? Before that, next.
No,
So we can talk. It is so now this issue we also discuss otherwise that there is a requirement of giving a gender wise disclosure of shareholders in the MGT 7, and
Yes.
most of the RTAs are finding it difficult to collect that information somehow. To whom I have spoken, they have mentioned
So
that they
what
don't have any such
what I
criteria.
understand, with my limited discussion with both of the depository and two RTAs, I think 4 5 RTAs also we are in touch with, and both depositories we have interacted. And after that, I can say to limited extent, CDSL is ready with the gender-wise data, and they have started providing to RTAs also. Most of the RTAs software which captures the Benpost data from the respective depository is not enabled for capturing that particular field. That is one problem, right? And unless and until RTA system is enabled for capturing that data, I think we'll not be able to populate the respective field in our data field, whatever is required to be attached. Number two, NSDL still, I think, is not able to confirm whether that data will be made available or that is available or not. They are not able to give any accurate answer. So RTA is also not able to. On top of it, this is only with regard to data which is electronically, that is in DMAT. What about the data which is in physical mode? There are companies who have lot of shareholders in the physical mode. You don't
Hmm.
know what is the gender of those physical shareholders. So still, I think we have seen couple of reports which have been out a couple of days back, and their MGT 7 have also been displayed. So they are making a disclosure that the gender wise information, since not being made available by the respective depository through RTA, we have not captured this information. So this field has been captured in the last option other than individual, right? And they have put a clarification mark. There is one more similar situation in respect of the date of incorporation of FIA. Now, this data, when we discussed with the RTA said that this data in any case is not available with our record at least. Secondly, when they tried to reach out to even DP also, depositories also, they're saying that we never captured the date of incorporation. We have the date of registration when they got
Hmm.
registered. That's it. So I don't know from where this idea of date of incorporation of FIA got generated in the Ministry of Corporate Affairs to add in the MGT7 form. I think that needs to be relooked into by the ministry, because most of the companies will not be able to populate this information on their own. They'll have to go for adding a clarification. Since now only link for MGT7 is being given, but there are companies who have concluded their AGM in the month of June and July. So they are due with filing of their annual return, and they are facing their challenges with regard to putting up this particular data. One more point, since we are on the MGT7, our team was working and we have encountered, though there is a option to revise the form MGT7 or 7A,
That
right?
was I was supposed to discuss with you
Earlier, this option was specifically not mentioned,
there.
though we were able to file MGT7 after revision without any difficulty, though AOC 4 was never allowed and still it
Yes.
is not allowed, and no option is also coming. But the difference between the two is that you will, the help kit as suggest that original MGT7, if you want to file, you will not, system will not allow. You will have to go to concerned jurisdictional ROC, get your form defective marked, and then only you will be allowed to file MGT7
Yes.
original. As far as the revised form is concerned, when you will go and opt for the revised version, system will allow you to take the information with regard to the previous SRN, and it should work. But unfortunately, since the last 2 days we have been trying and system is not working. Means as soon as you will go for putting the SRN of the previous MGT7, it throws the error. Either it is not valid or it is not linked for the relevant financial year. I don't know. Maybe it is the
I think sir,
technological.
Shiba has discussed, I believe MCA either through notes or FAQ has clarified that when they say revise, it means that in case you have not held your AGM, then you were
Hmm.
supposed to file the provisional annual return. So in case you have
Oh,
filed a provisional annual return and then you conducted AGM and then you are filing the correct MGT7, then only you can use the option to revise the form.
oh.
Otherwise, that option which was there earlier, you file a form, then you refile another form, it will top the existing form. That is, as per them, that is not more, no more allowed now.
But HelpKit says otherwise. Thanks, Shiba, for giving this clarity. We were struggling, our team was struggling in regard to this particular matter as well. But I'll relook into. Matlab, if there is a clarification, I'll seek your help as well, so that we can put this particular part to the rest.
Sir, actually, Section 92 of the Companies Act provides that annual return should be filed within 60 days from the date of AGM. If
Yeah, Shinam.
AGM is not held, then from the due date of AGM within 60 days. So after due date, if you hold the AGM, then that 60 days will count from the due date of the AGM. So if your AGM has not been held, then you can revise that form. Otherwise, it will be filed in one time only.
Yeah, so you mean to say if my AGM has not held and due date has completed, I will file within 60 days of the due date, And later on, if I want to revise that form that I have filed without holding AGM, then I can go for
Yes,
that purpose. The option is there. I think
same
that's
facilities in Form AOC for right now also, because when your financial is not adopted or finalized, you can file provisional financials in AOC 4. Then after that, you can file the original AOC 4. So
okay.
same thing comes under this.
All right. All right. Great.
Any other things, sir, in MDT 7 you would like to brought to our notice?
Uh, I think rest of the information I have not found much of the challenges. They have done, I think, integration wise, compatibility wise, the data checkpoint wise, they have done, I think, good work. I'll say the great work has been done as far as the alignment is concerned. It's a seamless form. As far as the filling part is concerned, I have personally filled also just for the experiencing as to how the interface is. So I think interface is good. As far as functionality is concerned, it is working fine. I don't see any other challenge other than what we have just now discussed. And the other issue with regard to the MGT8, what institute has already taken up with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, I think Ministry will listen to it and some clarification may come. So maybe I just applied. I just was thinking and was discussing with the colleagues also something which is on the lines of Caro report, where yes, no disclaimer options are there. You can build in all the fields and the data can appropriately be captured there also. That kind of option can also be explored, where the certification can also be there by the practicing company secretary who is doing that kind of certification.
Another important thing is now list of shareholders has to be attached with the form.
Correct.
So now if I believe when we download the form by way of VPD, then now the list of shareholders will also be available.
So technically, Ankit, the list of shareholder was supposed to be associated with the respective MGT7 form if they have been filed separately also. But unfortunately, I think there was some technical glitch which was not
Yes.
allowing the people to download, because otherwise this was a public document always and it was supposed to be part of the MGT7. So no question whether it should be allowed or it should be made available or not. But yes, technical issue was there which was not permitting, which is now I think settled because it is now a part of MGT7 attachment itself. So it will definitely be visible to the public inspection as well.
Okay. Even now the MDT8 has been merged with the form. Did you see is there any changes in the content of the form also?
Honestly, I have not gone that into that
Okay.
much of great detail, but I don't. Of course, everything has not been captured. That is what I understand. And to have a little greater flexibility, I will suggest still that the model what they have, I think Caro reporting has been done very nicely. Right? Something on that line can be captured here as well. If we really want these forms to be automated, and I think advantage is that otherwise qualification remains just unnoticed. But if they are captured in the Caro format, I think the artificial intelligence can do really wonders as far as the regulatory supervisor is concerned.
Okay. Any thing in form AOC4 while we have discussed the changes that are there?
See, AOC4, I don't see as far as the form hygiene is concerned. We have noted the form is working fine, no issue, except that the form is bit lengthy in terms of that it is expecting you to capture each and every para with
Yes.
regard to board report, with regard to the auditor report. But it is kind of a tagging what XBRL used to get done from you. Now, ministry is extending that without implementing it to XBRL mode, without asking you to be in XBRL mode. In a way, they have idea of XBRL was to tag each and every field,
Yeah.
right? Now, what they are trying to achieve, I think, with this mechanism in place, right? I think maybe couple of schedules also can be introduced, and the XBRL itself may be made redundant over a period of time. I don't know, but I'm just thinking, right? The Excel format attachment as an option, which ministry has pointed out, that is working very fine, right? So maybe possible whatever schedules when you are linking with the particular field, right? Maybe say reserves balances, right? And you want to give a schedule, you will give the schedule and the information will be displayed when the PDF will be generated, right? So those all things can be there, which I think ministry will think over a period of time. And I am thinking perhaps the XBRL may be complete go away over a period of time with little extension of the version what AOC4 they have created, the way it has been captured. And I think whatever purpose was there for XBRL, I think that is being achieved through this particular form as well. Each and every field is uh, identifiable and that is subject to scrutiny. So otherwise, I don't think minor technical glitches I am not going into. Other than that, I have not faced or I don't find any legal hassle as far as challenges with regard to this. Especially the companies which were in CIRP, the challenges which were there, I think those are not there. One change which we have noticed, I don't know many of you, I don't know how many of them have noticed. Earlier, if we don't hold AGM, say by 31st of December, if we have taken extension, or by 30th of September 2024, if we have not taken the extension, and we hold, let us say, on 8th of August 2025, and we go to file Form AOC4, if it was in V2 version, then if I select the date of AGM as 8th of August, and I file it within 30 days, no additional fees was required to be paid. Now, maybe it was ignorance on the part of the ministry, I don't know, right? But because maybe it was hyper technical view that 30 days from the date of AGM will be permitted for the purpose of filing. So now, whether your AGM has happened time or delay, that was not a check in the V2 version. But in V3 version, no matter whether you fill 8th of August or you fill any other date, right? If it is a delay, the system will calculate the fees from the due date only. That is 30th September 2024. That was the due date, and additional fees will be calculated therefrom.
Okay, now it is calculating from the due date.
Now it is calculating from the due date, correct?
But isn't this wrong? Because because there are two forms. From the due date, you were supposed to file the provisional if AGM is not held. But if AGM is held, you need to file it from AGM.
Yeah, that is correct. That somebody can debate legally, because if you go with the particular section, the language says 30 days from the date of annual general meeting. How you interpret, because that is not the case where the law says that or the due date of AGM, right? So the previous version seems to be legally correct, but I think there may have been instances where revenue was lost, but mostly cases were the government, where the government companies were delaying the filing, right? So they were at least able to complete their filing with a nominal cost, right? Now they are going to have a very tough time if they have not filed the document for the last 10 years. So there is a huge implication which is going to come on them, believing that it will be a nominal fees. Those who have held up their filing in the past, I think they are going to have a tough time.
But are they still considering the date of AGM within the 30 days?
Government companies?
No. Are they still considering the date of AGM within the prescribed period of 30 days for the purpose of calculating the additional fees?
No, I didn't get you.
For example, so if the AGM is held on 30th September, 30 days generally means 30th plus 30.
No,
In terms
if
of filing the form.
30th September is the due date. If the AGM is on 30th September 2024, your D date for filing will be 29th October 2024.
Is this,
I think that's
don't think
how.
that is the right interpretation of the provisions.
That is the right interpretation. I think that is applied all across. And one suggestion which we have
You know,
also
in many
given
firms,
to,
it is not the case. They are not
I
considering.
I was coming to
Hmm.
that only. I'm saying we have given a suggestion to ministry to align whatever, whether you calculate is 1 day plus or 1 day
Hmm.
minus. You align the entire MCA system to have one principle. It does not really matter whether it is 29th day or 30th day, right? You want to reduce, you reduce. But at least the alignment should be there, because many a times if you go, especially with regard to ADT form, I think the same issue was there. 14th day, if you file all right, 15th day, as per our calculation, it will be delay. That's the challenge. I think ministry should consider that as a suggestion, and anytime whenever they consider it for modification, alignment should be done with regard to the common dates. That is
Okay, there is
important.
one question. Do we need to use the EAOC 1 and 2 format in the director's report, or the normal format that is there as part of the rules generally issued, we can
I
use?
think as far as the hygiene check is concerned, right, going forward, me and you will agree as a professional what we, because ultimately we have to certify, or some of our brother will be doing a certification. What is the basis if I am putting some information in the e form and that information is not captured somewhere in your board report? I think we are doing some, I don't know at what risk we are doing a certification, right? So maybe this year it was not possible. Subsequent year, we are going to advise that whatever is the additional data field, maybe in the last option, right, you add up all those information and put those information in the board report, right? Rest of the format is not required to be changed. Whatever you are following, you continue to follow. But additional information which are emanating from the e-form board report, I think that should be captured separately, so that
Okay.
we don't struggle in finding out those information, as well as the legality part of certification as well. The authenticity of data is also
Hmm.
maintained, I think.
I mean, definitely.
Sir,
Shiva,
we
any
receive.
have you observed any changes in the e-form version of AOC 1 and what was there in the rules?
No, sir, there was no such change. Only one change was there, that whether it is a subsidiary under section 2, subclause 1 or 2, that was the only thing which was introduced.
Hmm.
Otherwise, the rest details were same.
Okay. Shivam, you were adding something.
Sir, we received a query on email, as there is a dual filing option, web-based and Excel-based uploading
Hmm.
in AOC 4. Uh, in Excel form, any user can copy and paste in the Excel form,
Hmm.
like a director report or other things. But in a web-based form, they are not able to copy and paste. So this issue
No,
is
they are
coming.
able to copy paste, Shivam. There is no issue. Maybe some technical issue may be there, but otherwise the
Okay.
copy paste is enabled, right? It is not disabled. Only difficulty is with regard to, I think that is all across MCA V3, that they put up a character limitation, right? In respective field, that more than 10,000, more than 3,000 characters cannot be there. So I think that's the limitation that I think ministry in some cases has increased also. Even that restriction is in respect of article of association. Also, in any one particular field, you cannot have more than 20,000 character. Now, especially if you are a startup company and you have a part B as a article
Hmm.
of association, you don't have other option with regard to capturing that particular data. And you end up means writing that we are attaching a optional attachment with regard to this particular part, right? That's the only option. Otherwise, the part B cannot be captured in 20,000 character, right? So similarly, here also in the board report, what we have experienced that there are certain fields where the character limitation is there, but you can do the copy paste. That's not the restriction which is coming up. But wherever it is required, I think you can add, they give you the option to attach separate annexure for the same, and that works well.
Sir, one question more come in on email. If you have any observation in Form MGT8 certificate by PCS, so how you will deal with that? because that is a auto-populated form. That
So
is a
I
fixed
think,
form.
yeah, that's what me and Ankit were discussing. I think the going forward mechanism, what MCA might consider is the mechanism what is somewhat similar to the auditor report, right? Caro report is now captured in the form where it says whether it is a favorable, whether it is unfavorable. If you say unfavorable or disclaimer, it asks you to give your comments. So that type of reporting will evolve, I think, over a period of time. I don't know in what time, but today, if you have an observation, you have an option to attach optional attachment in the MGT7, and that's how you will capture that, right? Otherwise, I agree, there is hardly any option available.
Okay. Shivam, any other query that we have received?
No, sir.
So I think
There are,
yeah.
Ankit, I don't know what other forms you have captured.
No, we have only captured the annual filing forms today.
Acha, today only, okay.
So we'll be doing a separate webinar for discussing other forms.
All right.
I think today we are done. I think before time, since the presentation is also over and we haven't received any other queries. So thank you, Amit ji, for joining.
My pleasure. Sorry,
Thank you,
I
Shiba,
was
for the
in another
presentation.
meeting, so I could join little
And
late.
no worries. So wishing everybody a happy Raksha Bandhan and happy Independence Day, happy Janmashtami. We would not be meeting you next Friday on account of Independence Day, but next to next Friday we would be coming back with another topic for the webinar. So we'll share you the details in the time being. Thank you. Enjoy your weekend and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Ankit. Thanks,
Thank you.
Shiva.
Thank you, sir.